I talk a lot about how much motherhood is both,
Yeah.
right? And using the word "and" is the most important word for mothers because you can love your baby more than anything and also need a break. It's all these dualities that come into question, right? It's normal. People experience it. And like, you're right. Yes, it's traumatic also. I can feel guilty about something and I know that this is the thing I need to do right now.
After you give birth, you might feel like a completely different person. And here's the thing, you kind of are. Your brain is going through changes similar to adolescence: heightened neuroplasticity, adaptive transformation, rewiring itself to attune to your baby, and nobody tells you that. So you think you're broken, you think something is wrong with you. But what if those brain changes fueling your anxiety are actually your superpower? And here's the bothness. What if the brain changes that are fueling your anxiety are also your superpower? Dr. Nicole Pensak is a licensed clinical psychologist specializing in perinatal mental health. She literally helps new moms navigate postpartum anxiety for a living. And then she became a mom herself and hit rock bottom with severe postpartum OCD. She was an expert and she was drowning. Welcome to It's Both. I'm Nikki P., a therapist turned storyteller. And today I'm talking with Dr. Nicole Pensak, author of Rattled, Navigating the Postpartum Period with Confidence and Clarity. This is a conversation about the messy middle of becoming a mother, about the bothness of loving your baby fiercely and grieving who you were before, about life transitions that can happen so fast that your brain can't keep up, and about the anxiety that comes from your brain doing exactly what it is supposed to do. This is for anybody who ever felt like motherhood made them a stranger to themselves, for anybody drowning in mom guilt or mom rage, thinking something's wrong with you, or for somebody that's in the postpartum space where you're supposed to be grateful, but you also kind of feel like you're falling apart. This is for you. And with that, let's jump in. You are this expert who's helping women in this such a specific phase of their life. And then you go through it yourself and get hit with all of this like flooding of emotions. And so talk to me about what that felt like for you.
Right. Well, it's both, right? I was an expert and then a beginner, right? Becoming a mom and going through postpartum on the other side. I mean, basically, I spent my whole academic career working with patients with advanced illness and helping them cope with very physical limitations. And then fast forward, I became more fascinated with the silent patient in the room, the caregiver. When I became a mother, I had this aha moment. Oh, mothers are really the ultimate caregiver, but they don't have enough resources. And with my second, I suffered from severe postpartum OCD and kind of hit rock bottom. And, but luckily I followed my own advice and what I recommend to my patients, what I outline in the book. And so I was able to go from rock bottom to thriving pretty quickly. And then being an academic, I went back to the research to understand what's really going on in this postpartum phase, what happens to the maternal brain. And I really uncovered a story that no one's talking about. And I felt like I had to tell it. So, becoming a mother is both understanding, feeling not your best physically, right?
Yeah.
Going through mom brain, but the subjectiveness of mom brain, the fogginess, forgetfulness, the lapses in memory.
Yeah.
It's a small part. And I really wanted people to understand the bigger picture of what happens when you become a mother and that there are lots of benefits and cognitive boosts, even brain changes in a positive direction, but we don't talk about them enough.
What was it like feeling all of those things before you could articulate what you were going through? Does that make sense? So obviously this is what you do. You're an expert in it. But I would imagine, I could be wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I would imagine there was probably a little bit of a lag in what you were experiencing and then being able to identify it and go, oh, shit, like that's the thing that I actually work with women through. So was there that lag, or what was that like to connect the feeling and the experience of it to what you were helping other women with?
So I was really terrified when I was going through it and in the thick of it. I mean, my son was born right before, COVID started and lockdown came about. So in the NICU for 5 weeks, 2 weeks later, we were on lockdown. My husband was working on the front lines.
Oh.
And like all of the support that I had built up, like bringing people in to help, could not do because of
Mm-hmm.
COVID. And also, I was weaning at the time. I didn't realize we would have been home for a year or two. And I was planning on going back. That was just part of my postpartum plan for the sake of sleep and my mental health. And so the hormone shifts were pretty dramatic as well. And then, things really were heating up with COVID. And so there was a little bit of a lag, but I would say that I pretty much was diagnosing myself in real time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was strange to sort of walk the walk in that way. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is what's happening. I am, being hyper vigilant. I'm checking. I know this isn't good for me, but I can't stop following my husband around because he's getting notifications from overseas on the doctor's chat about what's going on. That
Yeah.
really hadn't reached the news yet. Like we had locked down earlier than most people. And I would just follow my husband around. I'm like, I need to know everything, knowing that
Mm.
it wasn't good for me. And then there came a point where I wasn't sleeping I literally did not sleep for 5 nights. I was
Oh.
just, couldn't turn my brain off. It was torturous. I was just planning on how am I going to keep my baby alive? How am I going to keep my
Mm-hmm.
family alive? How am I not going to die? You know, it was terrible, really torturous. But
Yeah.
I had a moment of clarity. I was like on my son's nursery room floor. I was crying and I was like, I need to protect my brain. And that came early on from my training and working with burn patients, and that there's a way to sort of prevent the development of PTSD. And I felt like I was sort of being traumatized in real time. It was so terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I realized I needed to help my brain protect it, reach out to my providers that I had on standby, and start treatment pretty rapidly. And I felt better in a matter of days. I was sleeping, I was feeling much better, and then I went in a couple of months, I felt like I was feeling my best, better than ever, and it was it was confusing because we were in COVID and it was,
Mm-hmm.
a really challenging time in the world, and yet I was like, you know, feeling my best. And so I want
Mm-hmm.
go back and understand exactly and then put together this roadmap to help other mothers because I realized there's just not enough support out there, and especially during COVID. Yeah.
So much isolation, no support. I mean, that's such a hard fate. I mean, motherhood and postpartum is so incredibly hard to begin with. It's already lonely, it's already isolating. I mean, it takes so much work to intentionally set up those networks of support and like I can't even imagine. I mean, I had one right before COVID and one in kind of still COVID time. And oh man, it was a whole other experience. And I think, yeah, I think hearing you talk, there's just so much I connect to. And I'm like, yes, why aren't we talking more about this? And I think you're hearing more and more of the harder parts of postpartum. But I'm curious for you, when you were like, what's that roadmap to healing? What were those things that you within those first few days could hold on to that helped protect your brain? Because I love that you said that protect your brain. I don't feel like we talk about that enough. Like, we don't talk about protecting our brain and how, I mean, so many times in my own life, especially postpartum, the anxiety, the overwhelm, the depression, all of those things, it just gets blown up in your brain and then it overtakes your whole body and every single thing. So, what were those first few days of healing like for you that helped you kind of start that process?
I mean, that is such a good question because I do remember being very deliberate about that and protecting
Mm,
my brain and taking those very practical steps from like an evidence-based treatment perspective. And I realized I was just taking in too much stimuli
mm,
from the outside world. I was similar to mom's Googling in the middle of the night looking for answers, and it becomes more and more down a rabbit hole. So I was searching for more information. With COVID, I was, again, asking my husband for every single piece of information I could get. I was triggered by the news. So I really, in those very first days, I remember even I shut off every app in my phone so that I wouldn't get any notifications. And I committed to like not checking anything because I didn't know what was going to pop up in my feed. I
yeah.
didn't know. I remember even turning off a shopping app because I was like, I didn't even want to risk
Yeah.
bad or anything, like, just triggering me in any way, and I really slowed down, I simplified, I focused on being really present, right? And I focused on just taking care of myself, nurturing myself, trying to rest. I obviously went to therapy virtually and I took medication immediately. So I remember texting my doctor, my psychiatrist from my closet, and I had never
Mm,
thought that I would need medication, right? I was just one of those people, I like always had a little bit of health anxiety, but I would like go for a run or meet a friend for a drink or something,
mhm.
be able to move past it. But I
Yeah.
texted her from my closet and I was like, I'm fully committed to taking medication, whatever you recommend on board, because taking in so much information can really stress your system. And there's something very traumatic about that.
Mhm.
And being hyper vigilant and scanning the environment. And so I needed to sort of settle my nervous system in a way that I couldn't do on my own, like with, some of the cognitive behavioral skills that I teach, like deep breathing and all of that. I knew I was sort of past that point and
Yeah.
I did the medication to help me do the strategies, and that's what medication can be really good for early on, right? Because it
Yeah.
helps settle your system so that you can actually do the things in therapy or the strategies that are gonna help you feel better.
That is such a beautiful way of laying that out because I think a lot of people are resistant to medication for various reasons. And I don't think a lot of folks understand that you can't, to your very point, you can't implement a strategy if your nervous system literally can't handle it. If your biology within you is so hijacked, like you do need that additional support so that you can implement. And so I think I mean, first of all, thank you for sharing that because I think that that's really vulnerable. And also, because I know a lot of people can be maybe a little bit resistant to talk about that. And I'm curious for you, is that something, if like you don't have to answer if you're not comfortable, are you still taking medication? Is that something that's still part of your
Oh, yeah.
journey? Yeah.
I'm on the same dosage I have been since, I went through that, and honestly, I'm so grateful
Yeah.
that I'm on that and I have that protection because I feel like there have been so many things that have come up
Mm,
that would have made me spiral, would
hmm.
have really caused a lot of anxiety, and having that buffer helps me feel my best so that I'm able to do, again, all the strategies, but also to take it further, to take on new challenges. I wrote the
Yeah.
book. I wrote the
Yeah.
while I was like 3 months later, I was writing.
What?
Yeah, yeah, I
Oh my
was.
gosh. So how old? Wait, was your son? How old was your son?
I mean, he was
3.
5 months at the time when I was writing Rattled.
My
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah.
Whoa.
And, to speak to that vulnerability aspect, I mean, I also felt like I needed to share my story because there
Mm,
is so much stigma. And if I'm an expert at treating, mental health and, working with women and helping them postpartum, if I'm an expert at this and I went through it, then, what's happening out there? And I wanted to help people understand that it's not anything that you did or not your fault. Sometimes your brain can do this thing even when you're doing everything right in as far as the transition to motherhood. And I talk about the research in that way that like your brain is adjusting and adapting to attuning to the baby. And that puts you in a very vulnerable period
mhm.
position for experiencing postpartum. And I think if more mothers knew that then and understood like everything that goes on, I think they would have more compassion for themselves. I think that they would not hold the stigma as much. I think that they would be more able to ask for help and talk to someone about it and get treatment and, early treatment. It's a lot easier to treat postpartum earlier on, than later.
Mhm. Yeah.
So and I think as mothers, we just like to white knuckle it. We're like, "We got this. It's just we can do this," and we can, but I
Mhm.
think mothers deserve to feel, more
Yeah.
joy in the experience.
I don't know at all what you're talking about. No, I have 3 kids myself, and they're about 6, 4, and 2, and I still feel like I, in a lot of ways, am postpartum. And I'm wondering, I'm like, from your research, when does that feeling go away? And two-part question, when does that feeling of, like, the weight of the postpartum, right? Like, it is so much around there's so much I feel like even myself where I am hypervigilant. Because anything below 4, I'm like, you're on death watch, like literally like all the time. And with multiples, it's like ping pong. So first part of the question is, when do you feel like you see that end and it's less of the hypervigilance? It's more like, okay, these are independent children. Like I don't have to, we're not in that baby toddler stage as much anymore. I can like relax a little bit. And then two, with what shifts that you're talking about in postpartum, I feel like it's pretty easy. I shouldn't say easy. It's a little bit easier to recognize early stages postpartum because it feels maybe more in your face, more, it's stronger, it's more apparent, and people are connecting it to your recent birth. Whereas I think that can last for a long time for a lot of women. And the further you get away from birth, people don't connect the dots anymore. And I'm just curious, like what you would say to women who are further out to maybe recognize that.
Well, I mean, you nailed it. It's really 4 years when you start feeling that relief from the psychological primary preoccupation of hypervigilance and keeping
Mm.
your very young, dependent baby alive. I mean, you're right, they're on death watch, and you're just trying to make sure that they don't hurt themselves. And so you have to anticipate, you have to plan, you have to respond. It's
Mhm.
a lot. It's a lot of the mental load that comes with motherhood. As far as talking to mothers further out, so it was interesting when I was having conversations with other researchers in the area, I asked specifically what's up with this cutoff at like one
Mhm.
diagnostic wise, and it's really arbitrary, and they
Yeah.
say postpartum can be forever, but I would say I work with a lot of high functioning moms and it can come up, you know, anytime postpartum. And also when you have multiples, it's like you could be, experiencing that and then pregnant with your next one or having like another it's
Yeah.
like it's a lot. And I always say that you want to schedule your follow-up appointments throughout, the first year at least. And also, if you decide to breastfeed and you're weaning, and typically you can wean like a year, 2 years after. I
Mhm.
mean, and you can go through postpartum. That's another uptick that we see because of the
Yeah.
hormonal changes. So I would want you to be aware of that, but also that it can happen at any time, and that's the point of having more frequent follow-up.
Mhm. Can I ask you a question? You know that feeling when you're fine on the outside, but completely undone on the inside? Where you can't explain what's wrong because technically nothing's wrong. You're just exhausted, a little lost, and really tired of pretending that you're not. I built something for that exact feeling. It's called the Messy Middle Workbook. It's got 5 sections, real prompts, and a guided meditation after each section. I made it for myself when I was in the mess of it, because I needed something to hold on to, something to help me feel seen, and something to help me feel like I wasn't losing my mind. If that resonates, the link is below in the show notes. Okay, let's get back to the episode. So what do we look for? I mean, how do we know, right? Because I know I've heard people say, well, if you're just sad, if you're crying. And then sometimes I've also heard women say, well, like, how do I know if this is postpartum or if this is just like what it is like to be a mom with a child or multiple children, and like just the weight and the stress of either you're staying home with them or maybe you're working and juggling all the things. So how do you distinguish those from each other?
Well, what I like to say is that unfortunately the onus still falls on mothers to sort of
Yeah.
diagnose themselves, and I'm trying to get away from that actually. So I set the bar really low. I'm like, if something feels off, if you're feeling stressed out, why not schedule an appointment with someone that specializes in perinatal mental health and you can talk about it. And guess what?
Mm,
Let doctors do their job. They will diagnose you, they will advise you, we'll take it from there. And all you have to do is show up. And so I set the bar really low because we do have a maternal mental health crisis in the US where 1 in 5 women experience postpartum depression or anxiety. We're not catching enough women with this mentality of like, here are the symptoms you should look out for.
yeah.
Baby blues only lasts like 3 to 4 days within the first 2 weeks. So if you're beyond 2 weeks after birth, you're in postpartum territory.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you're feeling overwhelmed, and again, I work with a lot of high functioning mothers that wouldn't necessarily be the picture of clinical levels of postpartum depression. They're going about their day, they're getting everything done, but it feels really challenging and stressful. They're not able to really enjoy those moments. There might be some tears and whatnot. And yes, motherhood is really challenging, but there are ways to help you feel better, even in the context of very challenging periods of your life. And that's really where my academic research focused on working with patients with very severe medical traumas and physical limitations
Yeah.
and helping them feel better. And that's why I was like, my gosh, this is like being a mom.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I love the connection. I also love that you said, well, so much that I've loved that you said, but one, stop trying to diagnose yourself. I feel like you were speaking to me. I mean, I know you are speaking to me, but I'm also like, yeah, okay, I could stop trying to diagnose myself. But I think that that applies to a lot of women because we do white knuckle it, and we also try to figure it out to see if it's worth our time and everyone's the hassle of it for us to go see the doctor. And so it's almost like we want to figure out if we're going to come off as just, I don't know, too much, right? Instead of just going and seeing somebody. But I also love that you said see somebody who specializes in perinatal health because in my own experience, I feel like if I've just seen a doctor, not even my OB, and maybe even an OB, I have an incredible OB. I also don't know that she was definitely who I would want in the delivery room. I don't know that she was who I would see for the mental emotional health, right? She was incredible. But I think seeing somebody that specializes in that very specifically is so key because even myself, I'm thinking of the doctors, the general practitioners that I've seen, and my OB who I definitely had postpartum anxiety with two, if not all three of my kids. And they definitely didn't catch it. Like I had to kind of catch it myself and say, no, actually, this is what I'm going through and this is what I'm needing. Like I had to really, really advocate for myself. And so I think what you said is so important because I think there's a difference. And I mean, you correct me if I'm wrong, but what is the difference in seeing a regular doctor versus somebody who's working with women who are in this like very specific stage?
So, I mean, you said it, right? So, even the most well intentioned providers can be dismissive if they don't understand what they're looking at, because there are so many cultural stereotypes of like this mother
Yeah.
martyr culture where like you're supposed to suffer through it. If it's not like obvious you're crying in the doctor's office
Yeah.
on the floor, then, you're more high functioning and that can easily be missed all the time. I mean, I see mothers come to me all the time and you scratch the surface and it's like, oh, you have postpartum OCD, which on the outside may look like really careful parenting, right?
Hmm.
And checking on your baby to make sure they're
Yeah.
alive several times in an hour. And really you may be getting into postpartum OCD territory. And so it really does make all the difference because
Yeah.
we're dismissed all the time. And it's the difference between getting treatment earlier on than not. And then, you go through all that and have to advocate for yourself. And it's like, it shouldn't be this hard. You're doing so many hard
No.
things. It's like finding, getting mental health treatment should not be this hard.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh, 100%. I know you've also talked about how there's this I don't know if it's something I read or if it's something you said in this interview, but that postpartum is a developmental stage. And
Yes.
so I want to hear about that because my mind was kind of blown when I first heard that. I was like, "Wait a second, tell me more." So tell me, what do you mean by that?
So it's not really that postpartum is a developmental stage, but becoming a mother is a developmental
Mm,
stage. It's a neurocognitive developmental phase, just like adolescence, right? And it's actually called matrescence, but nobody really understands or knows that term in our culture. And we really need to normalize this and understand that when a woman becomes a mother, they're entering a new developmental phase. Their brain changes rapidly, fine tuning and priming itself for new learning. Your brain is shedding useless neural networks that you don't need to take care of a baby. And it's really being attuned to make you a better caregiver for your baby. And so during that time, I mean, everything changes. Your relationships change, your identity changes, your psychology changes, your
yeah.
hormones change, your body changes. I mean, there's just so many changes. And it tends to happen in a pretty brief period of time. When we compare it to adolescence, adolescence can last, 13 years. Mothers become mothers physically in a very short period of time. And the adaptation with the brain and the psyche and the relationships and the identity actually take longer. And so we really need to educate mothers, partners, families, all caregivers, and society of what this is like so we can better support mothers in this incredible
Mhm.
developmental phase in the same way that we understand adolescence. Like everyone knows what's going to happen
Yep.
with teenagers, right?
Yep.
And there's so much work on like how do we nurture the teenager through this process, and like I just feel like it's way more mainstream. And so we
Mhm.
really can make matrescence more mainstream in that way.
Mhm.
Because
Ugh,
it's an
yeah.
opportunity that's being missed actually,
Mhm.
because there are incredible boosts and cognitive changes that happen, and if we can help nurture that process, we can really reap the benefits as an individual, as families, as a society, in the workforce, all of
Oh, yeah. Well, and you said, okay, I'm gonna try to get the language right. You said shedding neural pathways. Is that what you said? Is this mom brain? Is this what people talk about mom brain? So if is shedding a neural pathway is I'm gonna like forget XYZ because my room, sorry, not my room, my brain is making room for the things that are quote more important and just like getting rid of the stuff that feels like it doesn't matter.
exactly. But we need to understand the full picture of the mom brain, and so there's this stigma out there that mom brain is really derogatory, right? And it means, like, it's not functioning well, when
Yeah,
really it's
exactly.
yeah, it's an adaptation where, yes, you feel foggy. Yes, you feel forgetful. You'll lose track in a conversation with an adult, but you won't forget to refill the diapers, right? Or to order whatever material,
Mhm.
supplies you need. You won't forget to feed the baby, right? So that's mom brain at work. But when we look at the research and compare mothers to non-mothers postpartum on objective memory tasks, there's really weak support for significant differences between the two groups. So what that means, what the science language means, and I'm being very careful because as an academic, we have to state things in a careful way. What that means is that the stigma is overblown, and that
Mm,
even though you're feeling like you're functioning worse, like that feeling is very real. But
yeah.
if you were to actually do a memory task or do some sort of task, right? You're not functioning worse, even if it feels like you are. And
Mhm.
really, the mom brain feelings of feeling worse are mostly due to the increased mental load and the overwhelming relentlessness of responsibilities, but also lack of sleep.
Yeah, yeah. My goodness. Well, I think we know, and I think you just kind of stated it, the things that show up as these negative, overblown, like, ugh, this is the like the bad stuff of postpartum and of moms after having kids. But I was also thinking about how this developmental stage, everything changes. You said your body, your emotions. I mean, your mental capacity, like it grows, right? And I also go, yeah, and identity wise, I think you hear so many women go through this phase of like, who am I anymore? Like, I love my child deeply. And I'm thinking of the duality of this, right? And how it is both, right? I love my child deeply. And also, I am grieving what was before, which was this connection to my identity and some quote freedom. Not that I don't want my child, I absolutely do. But I feel like everybody I talk to, we have this like, especially in those newer years, you have this sense of like, I'm so grateful and this is so amazing and this is an incredible life and I love who I am. I love my child more than anything. And also, who am I? Like, who am I without my child? And so I'm just wondering if you can speak a little bit to that because I think that that is somebody it's becoming more talked about now, but I still feel like there's so much negative connotation if you are honest about the grief and the loss of what you lose when you gain something incredibly beautiful.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I say, and I write about this in the book, to say goodbye to that version that
Mm,
you were pre-mom, and you can grieve it, you can mourn it in the same way that it's a loss, but also that this is an opportunity for discovery. And yes, everything changes, but to be curious about what's going to work for you now, what's going to feel good now, what's going to make sense and bring you meaning now. I mean, all of that stuff changes after you have a kid, and it doesn't mean that it's worse. It just means
Yeah.
that it's different and you need time to sort of feel your way through and try different things and figure that out. So to be curious and, allow yourself to be a beginner and sort of discover that.
Yeah. That's beautiful. And I think we a lot of times don't prioritize that and give ourselves the space to do that because I know I remember for myself, like it almost with each child, but in a different way. I had to go, wait, what do I like? What do I actually want again? Because a lot of my responses would be, well, I'm going to choose this. If I have free time, I'm going to do this because then this and then this. And it's a dominoes of how it then affects everyone else. And then using my time wisely instead of just going like, no, I just want to do a thing that feels really good.
Way too much pressure on ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's also hard when you're high functioning like yourself to be a beginner at something and to slow down and just to like have fun and
Hmm.
that just feels good for the sake of feeling good.
Yeah. Yeah. What would you say, like in everything that you're talking about and in this phase, what's the role of if you have a partner of any kind, what's the role of the partner in during this whole transition?
Well, a huge role, actually. And so I do speak about that in the book as well. But first of all, I would say it would help the partner to understand everything that's going on for the mother, right? And this phase and what postpartum looks like. And also, we know 1 in 10 fathers can experience postpartum depression. Um, and they're
Wow.
more likely to experience postpartum depression if the mother is depressed. So
I didn't
it's
know that.
understand the mental health behind it. Also, I put this in bold. I think this was one of the only lines I put in bold in the book, but it literally says in big font, bold, protect mother's sleep at all
Mm,
costs. And what that means is that you can do some shift sharing, right? And I recommend that the partners set up a consistent sleep schedule where there's shift sharing so that the mother gets a consistent block of about 4 to 5 hours each night for 3 months. And so psychologically preparing for
wow.
that. And what that means is that, if mom's, got the earlier shift, right, then they would sleep from 7 to midnight, right?
Hmm.
But it can be really any window. And the partner, so if they're nursing, then the partner can bring the baby to the mom, stay there, make sure the baby is safe and the mom can sort of twilight feed through that. And then when the baby's done feeding, the partner takes the baby, burps the baby, changes the baby, and puts the baby back to sleep. And then they switch. But to have that consistent sleep routine, I find
Mm,
that's very reassuring for mothers that they know, okay, if last night was a terrible night's sleep, I at least can look forward to the next day, to have that protected sleep time. And also, it's very protective mental health wise.
hmm.
A lot of the lack of sleep can trigger, depression and anxiety. And so, as much as we can protect that, and partners play a big role in that,
Mm,
that's probably like one of the number one tips I can give. And then there's so much more, but I always recommend Eve Rodsky's book, Fair Play, because you got to
so good.
talk about division of labor and
Hmm.
the logical responsibility of a task. That's really important to understand when you're going into child rearing and what that actually means. And she does a fantastic job outlining all of that. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, there's so much. I mean, partners really play a very important role. And I sort of give you the roadmap for that in Rattled.
Yeah. I am lucky enough to have an incredible partner who like let me sleep and I mean both of our moms took shifts visiting and that was the number one thing was like especially with my first I'll never forget both of our moms when they were here were like hey for the first couple of weeks you wake me up like you come and if they're up at night you come and wake me up and you do the feeding and then you just go sleep and that's you just come hand me the baby and I'll take care of it. And it was a life changing the days and the nights and the consistency that I was able to do that versus with like another one of my pregnancies, I didn't have that as much because again, it was COVID. It was just trickier. And my husband and I, we had multiple children. And so like he helped, but it's worlds of difference when you get sleep. And I think we just underestimate some of those basic physical things that our bodies need, like rest. And for some reason, we're so resistant to prioritize rest.
It's so important.
Yeah, yeah. So, and talk to me about, I know you've said, okay, women's brains are actually full of these superpowers. So, talk to me about that side of it, because I think we all know, we know it's hard, but what are the superpowers that we get from this?
Yes, you actually get a lot of cognitive boosts, right? And every time that you are, I use this example about when you're changing a diaper. You've never changed a diaper before, but your brain is building this whole neural network around built about changing a diaper. And so you're figuring out as you go, what diaper is going to work best at night for blowouts, um, whatever. And then like how tight do you need to fasten it, what diaper cream to use, like when to refill. I mean, there's just a lot that goes on with even the simplest of tasks,
Hmm.
air quotes for the listeners.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, so but your brain is doing that exponentially for each 24/7 relentless problem-solving task that you're forced to do in motherhood, like, you can't just, like, not do it. So you're figuring it out, and your brain is rising to the challenge and building a neural network around that. And in the research, we see that mothers have, more advantageous empathy, right? Better empathy, better problem solving, better visual memory, and then a greater cognitive reserve in the long term. So there are these sort of actual brain changes that give moms a leg up in certain
Mm,
ways. And I think that when we can nurture that and highlight that, we can help mothers lean into that, right? And reinforce that and make it get better and better, right? But
mhm.
unfortunately, there's so many landmines in the way, like postpartum, lack of sleep, stress, you
Yeah.
got another kid sick, you got, it's like there's just like relentless obstacles in the way. And so we need to do a better job at really empowering mothers to understand
Mhm.
what happens to their brain and themselves, right? It's a profound developmental phase in a way that for me, I think just made me a better person.
Mhm.
And the motivation was that, like, I wanna be the best version of myself for my kids but also in its own right, you wanna be the best version of
Mhm.
yourself, and so I think helping mothers to sorta lean into that and to navigate all of the things that come up, like mom guilt, mom shame, mom rage, right? Baby bonding, feeding challenges. I mean, there's no shortage of obstacles, and so but we have great ways to cope, and I just really wanted to get the evidence-based strategies out there because I know that
Mhm.
there's also a lot of noise, and so I wanted
Mhm.
that all to be signal.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you briefly talk about mom guilt and mom rage and like what that is and where that comes from? I don't think a lot of people understand that fully.
So with mom guilt, I look at it on a continuum, right? In the same
Mm,
way I would look at depression. So if you're experiencing a lot of mom guilt, it can actually make you feel more depressed. Or if you're depressed, you can experience more mom guilt. But I have
mm,
this method called the double down method for mom guilt because sometimes the thing that you feel most guilty about is the thing that you need the most, and that's going to help you the most. And so I give this example of like a mother going out to dinner with her friends and she's experiencing mom guilt for being away from the baby, which is natural. We sort of biologically feel that way and it helps us come back to our babies, right? And protect our babies. But at the same time, the baby's gonna be fine. You can go out to dinner, but I have mothers that will, like, sit on their phone and check the baby monitor 100 times instead of what I say is to lean in to what you're
mm,
doing and actually make it bigger. So you want to increase the pleasure of the thing that you're feeling guilty about. So if you're at dinner, you're gonna want to engage in conversation that's gonna bring you out of your head and change the subject from the baby, right? And maybe it's something funny, maybe it's gossip or the latest reality show, whatever is feels fun to you. I would want you to order your favorite meal or something just to increase
mhm,
senses and the pleasure you're getting. So that way you can sort of refill your cup and and that's gonna have incredible mood boosting effects, but also it's gonna have brain boosting effects. And I explain all that in the book, but without getting into the weeds of that,
yeah.
it makes you just feel better so that you can go back and return to your baby and you actually got a break.
Mm.
It's not going to help you if you get
Oh
out
my God. Yeah.
and just stare at the baby monitor the whole time. In that way, it's not a break.
Mhm. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm laughing because I'm like still to this day with 3 kids and my husband's amazing and I'm like, "Can I have a night? Can I go see a friend for a night or 2?" And we make arrangements, we figure out the logistics and all this stuff. And then for a while in the first couple of years of getting away a night or whatever, I was like, "Do you need me to come back? Like, I can't." And if like if he was stressed out at all, I was like, "I'm so sorry, I can't do it." It was just like this immense overwhelm of guilt. And the more like the building the tolerance, right? We're working our muscles to do this thing. And the more I did it, I'm like, no, I'm not going to ask. I'm not going to ask. I'm going to just say, like, do you need anything from me? That's it. I'm not going to really ask how it's going until I come back. Because if I ask how it's going and it's not going great, I'm going to be so distracted that I can't actually, it's like a waste of a trip. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And you deserve it.
Yeah.
Like, it's also gonna help you be a better mom.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
just and better for you just as an individual to have that and to
Yeah.
take care of yourself in that way. And
Yeah.
so really learning how to lean into it, right? And I love that
Mm-hmm.
you sort of said, "Okay, I'm not even gonna ask. I'm not even gonna open
Mm-mm.
the door to that," right? And that's a great strategy, okay? Because it forces your partner to handle it, right? And to figure it out in the same way that we handle it all the time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And also they're gonna improve their handling it skills.
Oh my gosh, they're gonna get even better every time. That's what I'm lucky enough to have so I'm a licensed therapist. I don't practice anymore, but my 2 of my best friends are also therapists. Somehow we all are. And so I was lucky enough to have them both do the reminder constantly of like, Nicole, you didn't know how to do this innately. You learned and you learned by doing and your partner will too. And I was like, mm-hmm. And like they would gently push my hand away and be like, don't ask, don't ask. You're good. You're good. So like having that support system for me was having those friends in my ear constantly was like the thing that helped me get past it for sure.
Yeah, so, I mean, the way I wrote rattled was very intentionally to be like that, not
Hmm.
friend, right?
Sure.
But, like, also, like, professional in your
Yeah.
ear, what to think about, but also it's such a good point. You should know that the more the fathers and the partners are involved, non-biological caregivers are involved in caretaking, the more brain changes they're going to experience, right? And
Yeah.
so it improves their brains as well. They just have more of a top-down approach versus a bottom-up approach.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, a quick thing. If this conversation is resonating, I need your help. Reviews are how this show grows. They're how other people who are carrying too much and feeling too alone actually find the show. So please take 1 minute and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It's the single best way to support the show, and it would mean the world to me. Okay, now let's get back to the show. Is there anything different you would say for mom rage, like of overcoming or helping to support that? Because I feel like that's a much more we can kind of wear our mom guilt as a badge of honor, but we definitely don't reference our mom rage. Like that is the most shameful, at least in my own experience, piece that I only shared with very few people at the time because I was like, what is wrong with me? But I know it's a pretty universal feeling. So how do we navigate that?
So it would be completely different for mom rage. And what I talk about is basically like once that mom rage is triggered, it's really hard to stop it. Okay.
Mm,
Sort of like a train going down a track at full speed, or it's like an action potential. Like once it's fired, it's going. And
mm-hmm,
so my rule for that is to not make it worse and to really just slow down, like move your body in slow motion, like literally walk in slow motion and focus on breathing. And the mom rage will pass, but it's not the time to think about what's causing your mom rage in that moment while you're in it. Or it's not the time to have a discussion with your partner or a fight with your partner or to really engage with your child in that. It's really about taking a step back and calming your body down, right? And getting away from it. And then once that action potential, once the mom rage comes down, because we know what goes up must come down, once that passes and you have a more clear mind and
mm-hmm.
feel more settled in your body, you're going to be able to think more clearly. And then you can look back and do sort of a post-mortem analysis. Like what led up to that? Do I need to have a talk with my partner about division of labor? Am I sleep deprived? Do I need to go to bed early tonight? Do I need to eat something?
Mm,
Do I need to delegate some tasks? Because we know that the mom rage experience is due to hormonal changes, but also, again, the increase in the mental load and responsibility and the overwhelm to the system.
that's really good. And that's so helpful because you always hear like, okay, take some deep breaths, step away. And I'm not saying that in a disparaging way. Like they are actually helpful tools. But what I love about what you said is move in slow motion. Because I think that could be a signal. Like, I haven't tried that, but I would imagine that's an easier thing to do in the moment than taking a deep breath. Like, maybe it can help me signal I need to take a deep breath, but I can move, I can do slow motion, and maybe it can even help like shift my brain a little bit. And so I think that's a really great practical tool that like each person can use in the moment. And to be able to then do the other things, right? Like go, oh, I need to step away. I need to take a deep breath. I need to do XYZ.
Well, and it also shifts you from a reaction
Yeah.
based place, right? So it's really easy to fight with your partner when you're having,
Mhm.
right? And I say, like, don't take the bait. Literally, just let's slow it all down because
Mhm.
everything moves really fast when you're in mom rage, right? It's very,
Yeah.
like, reaction based.
I'm a great fighter. I can really I could be the best lawyer in my mom rage moments. I'd be like, I would take somebody down.
Yeah, I mean,
Don't
exactly.
need I don't need to. I don't let me clarify, I don't need to, but ooh, I could.
It's such an intense feeling that I don't think well, we don't have it before we become mothers, right?
Mm-mm.
And then all of
No.
a sudden, we're introduced to this intense rage, not anger.
No.
It's beyond that, and, I think I quoted in the book I know I did because I loved Anne Lamott's book, Operating Instructions, and
Yeah.
her quote was, "When you become a mother, be prepared to dance with your feelings because you will literally have all of them."
Mm.
She's also talking about mom rage.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I am curious, what is something that you wish somebody would ask you about that you could share about that you often don't get asked?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
This is a good one that doesn't
Yeah.
normally because we don't think about the postpartum period in this way, but I talk a
Mhm.
lot about becoming a mother being a normative trauma.
Mm.
It changes every single system in your body, and socially and whatnot, identity-wise, and it happens in a very brief period of time in the way that we would think about trauma, like it's an acute thing. And I talk about post-traumatic growth as a result
Mhm.
of this normative trauma. And what that means is having like a newfound meaning and purpose, feeling
Yeah.
better than ever, really thriving. And it can happen just with the normative experience of becoming a mother, but also we know that birth trauma happens in like 13 to 46% of mothers. And there's like
Wow.
really no shortage of trauma in the motherhood space because when you become a mom or a parent, right, it's also gonna bring up maybe some childhood trauma, right, or some things you've experienced in the past that is sort of thrown in your face when you're raising your child at a similar developmental phase as when
Yeah.
they experience trauma or, you know and so I talk about post-traumatic growth in a way to bring mothers further along, no matter what they experienced, the birth trauma or just becoming
Mhm.
a mother, because it is all like it's a normative trauma.
It's really good. And I've never thought about it in those terms, but you're so right. And I think because it's normal, like it's common, like most for centuries, forever, right? Like women have been having children. And so I think because of that, people are like, it's not a big deal. Like you can do it. I mean, don't half the people in the world do it. And it's like, well, so I love that term because I think it brings, again, I think about this duality and this bothness, like it's normal, it's common, and it's traumatic. Like both of those things can be true and they can be held together in the same moment. And without honoring that complexity, you miss so much of the true experience.
Exactly. And I talk a lot about how much motherhood is both,
Yeah.
right? And using the word "and" is the most important word for mothers because you can love your baby more than anything and also need a break. It's all these dualities that come into question, right? It's normal. People experience it. And like, you're right. Yes, it's traumatic also. I can feel guilty about something, and I know that this is the thing I need to do right now. I mean, it's just
That's a
you can
hard one. Yeah.
like rattle them off, honestly.
Yes. Yes. I know.
So
Oh,
many.
I know. So many. What would you say to somebody, like, what is one kind next step that you could say to somebody either who has kids or maybe a partner or a loved one of somebody who has kids? Like, one kind next step that they can take?
I just say you're doing a great job.
Mm,
I think if we really like zoned in and named every single thing that a mother or a caregiver does, like from the time they wake up, right, to sleep, and even like in their sleep, they're probably solving problems as well. There's just so much that you're doing, and you're doing a great job. And I don't think that mothers hear that enough. And we need to reinforce that because it's so hard. And so that's the first thing I would say. And then, obviously I would say read Rattled. I think that,
mhm, yes.
it's gonna put everything together in a way that you've never heard before and gonna resonate and help
Yeah.
you feel even better.
Yes. 100%. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing. Thank you for this book. Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing your own experience and your own story, because I think those are the things that each of us feel seen in, right? Like we feel seen in those experiences. And I just think it's so powerful. And I'm so grateful for all the work you're doing.
Thank you. Well, thank you for helping to spread the message and for this It's Both podcast and your work as well, because you're helping so many people.
Thank you. And I have one final question to the other Nikki P, as we were joking earlier. What is something that you do that is completely ridiculous, but to others might be relatable? I'm happy to give examples if you need some.
Give me some examples.
So I am so bad with geography in a way that it's embarrassing. I have my master's degree. I've worked in nonprofit leadership. I've done a lot of things in my life that I'm accomplished in. And don't ask me where any state in the United States is, let alone anything out of the United States. I have no clue. Somehow that part of my schooling, it just disappeared. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you where I mean, generally, like I know continents, and then I'm like, I don't know.
God, I have so many. I mean, I have misophonia. So
What's
like,
that?
oh my gosh.
I don't know what that is.
It's like if I hear someone chewing or my husband literally like he can chew gum in the car and I love him so much and I also want to murder him right next to me. Or sometimes he'll eat an apple and I swear to God, I am like rageful.
Yeah.
And so it's the stimulation, it's like the noise, it's chewing, it's like anyone sniffling around. I don't know. It's just I'm like, oh my God, I have these, I have the AirPods, and I literally just walk around with them sometimes, like, if I notice, like, I'm hearing too many of his noise in, they don't even have to be on, okay? They just help sort of desensitize, but yeah, misophonia is real.
Okay, I'm gonna add that to my list because 100% I have that. I've like since my kids were little apples, I'm like, girls, kids, keep your mouth shut. Or like my husband eating chips. We joke every night he has a snack and he eats chips. And I'm like, can you not shut your mouth? Is it literally not possible to close your lips while you chew?
Or, like, if your teeth touch the fork, like
Oh, oh,
like, like, I hear that. Okay, yeah, no,
that's a
this is
great one.
the intensity of family life, right? Like, you're hearing all the noises, and I'm just
The
like,
noise.
"No, it's too much."
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
I was also just laughing because I don't remember the term you just said for the chewing thing, but is that almost like the opposite of ASMR?
ASMR.
My gosh. It's this thing where people talk into the microphone like this, and it's like, does that make you cringe?
No, because you know what? I think Amy Poehler does that sometimes, and I find her very funny because 'cause she'll, like, quiet her voice and, like, talk like that, but it's not like she doesn't do
Well,
it all the time.
it's a little bit different, and I'm probably not explaining what, but it's almost like smacking. It's like the
Oh,
and
no,
like
no, no.
noises or like crinkling.
You're driving
And
me nuts.
it like people that listen to these weird noises or people whispering in the mic and you hear all the little sounds, it like gives them tingles in their body and it relaxes them. I don't understand it, but I feel like what we have is the opposite of ASMR. I'm like, I don't want to hear any of that. It makes me cringe.
I mean, I remember being in school in like class or like, grad school, whatnot. And I would sit there and I would get so bothered if I heard someone in class like chewing gum or something, or like any sort of noise, or like crinkling their paper, or like, I was just like, how dare you? How dare
How dare you?
you listen to me? Like, and I would literally like be so angry by it. But it's a real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's so good. Those are great ones. So thank you for sharing.
And actually, they say the smarter you are, so you can feel comfortable in this, the more likely you are to have misophonia. It's actually
Great.
related to higher intelligence, I guess, because you're taking in so much stimuli and like you're more sensitive and like attuned. And so just something
I just pat myself on the back there. That makes me feel good.
torturous in the moment.
Yeah, I know. Same. Like, I love you, but stop. For real.
I love you, but I can't believe we're married right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. This is so great. Thank you so much. It's honestly, it's been a great conversation.
This is so fun. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much to the other Nikki P for coming on and just sharing so much about her own personal experience and all the incredible work that she is doing with moms. And what she said about normative trauma, I honestly will not be able to forget because it is spot on. It changes every single system in your body, your identity, your relationships, your psychology, your hormones, and it happens in such a brief period of time. So if you are in that space right now, if your thoughts feel too loud, your emotions feel too sharp, and if you don't recognize yourself anymore, I want you to hear this. You are doing an amazing job. You really, really are, even if it doesn't feel like it. You can find Dr. Pensak's book, Rattled, Navigating the Postpartum Period with Confidence and Clarity, wherever books are sold. You can also follow her on Instagram at dr.nicole.pensak. I'll make sure to link both of these things in the show notes below. And if you need something to hold on to right now, I made something for exactly that feeling. It's called the Messy Middle Workbook. It's not a fix. It's not 5 steps to feeling better. It's just permission to sit down in whatever you are holding right now and actually look at it. It comes with companion meditations to walk alongside of you while you go through the workbook. You can find the link below in the show notes. And if this episode resonated with you, please share it. Share it with a new mom. Share it with the partner or loved one of somebody who is in that postpartum stage. And no, not just within the first months, but anyone post-baby at any amount of time. Share it with them because that's how this community grows. One person telling another, you are not alone in this. Hit follow so you never miss an episode. And lastly, take a minute and leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. It really does make such a difference for the show. As you go through this week, I want you to think about this. Where are you being too hard on yourself? And where do you need to hear that you are doing a great job? Remember, life isn't either or, it's both. And you are allowed to hold all of it. Until next time.